Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back and I hope you're doing fantastic out there. In this video today, we're going to talk about another diesel heater. This is from WIPPRO. So I want to say thank you to them for sending this unit out for review. Now, there's a couple features right off the bat that I want to make note of before I even get into this review. This unit is very quiet and it has a stainless steel fuel pump. So very cool. The little ticking pump on this one can be cleaned, and they say that this is a quiet unit. Now, I love diesel heaters. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's included and, more importantly, the heater itself. So right off the bat, the first thing that we see is the user manual. So setting that aside, we're gonna pull this out and see what this is. So it looks like these are the vents that can be used. Yeah, it looks like those go together. That's pretty cool. Pretty nice that they include that. And as you can see inside, the unit comes packaged very well. Let's see if we can pull this straight up. This unit's not very heavy, which is kind of nice. Not a big, heavy unit. WIPPRO, enjoy a warm life. Diesel heater, model HD01, 12 volts, 40 watts. It says 5 kilowatt to 8 kilowatt, made in China. This is where you would put your diesel fuel. I like that. You can access that straight from the top. Very nice. Here's a look at the front of the unit. So this can go at the end of your hose, wherever your hose is, or if you're going to drill a hole in a wall or something like that to pipe your heat in, you can see that there's a remote control there. There's a look at the side. Let's look at the underside of it. There's the exhaust pipe. You got the fuel line, and I can see the pump there. So you've got the intake and then you got the exhaust right here. So this exhaust pipe looks like it's a little tiny bit bent, but these are thin walled, so they're pretty easy to. This end has a longer section and this one's shorter, so this would be the one that I'd suggest putting on the bottom, because that gives you the ability to bend and get this exhaust pipe out of the way. Right there, if we were to make a nice 90-degree bend. So let's take a closer look at this unit. This is what the bottom looks like. And now I have the pipe on there. And there's a look at the front. Here is the back. So this is where your power comes in. This is also your air inlet. Not too bad looking of a unit. I like right here how there's a cutout here so you can see visually how much fuel you have. Now, I'm noticing that this it's not high enough to clear this exhaust pipe. So it's going to need to be set up on something, but that's okay. Let's take a look at this tag right here on the front, on the top rather. Feel free to pause if you want to read that. I'm going to do my best to get it as close as possible. So very cool. The top handle feels nice, feels secure. Then I also noticed in the box there was a couple other things. So there's nothing left in the box. We have the pipe for the heat, so we can pipe the heat in whatever directions we want. And then on the end of this we can put this, and that gives us a vent for the heat. So very cool. It's got a mild bit of damage to it, but not bad, nothing too crazy. Here is the air inlet. So very nice that they include that. And then let's find out what's in this box here. I'm pretty excited about this. I love diesel heaters. They are some of my favorite type of heat because they give you a nice dry heat. They're fantastic. Okay, we're gonna pull this one out and let's see what this is. Looks like there's a lot of clamps and stuff, bolts and hardware, and then there's our air intake. So that's a coarse air filter. So very nice that they come with the hose clamps and everything that you need. This next one has a muffler and a mounting bracket for the muffler and a couple screws. So very nice. That's one of the mufflers that you can see through. So these work pretty good. I have a bunch of those. And then right here, it looks like there are some mounts or something. I gotta take a look and see what those are for. And then of course they include some wires. Now this one requires 12 volt 15 amps to get this thing to run. If you've got maybe a deep cycle battery, you can connect this to that battery and get this thing to work. So I think it's cool. So this unit is self-contained and it comes with everything that you need to get started. You don't have to come up with anything. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, just a minute ago I was looking at these 4 pieces and I wasn't quite sure what they're for. I think I figured it out. They just slide right on here. You can get 4 of these little feet on here and it gives it a wider footprint. They just slide right on. But they don't do anything to raise up the heater any higher. They just give you a wider footprint, and then you can also use those to bolt the unit down to something. So if you wanted to run maybe like some wood screws or something down, you could screw this thing down, you know, to the whatever wood or whatever with easy access. So I think that's pretty cool that they include those. Okay, I'm gonna go without an air filter because I'm in the shop. I don't have like dirt and dust and stuff like that. It's pretty clean in here. So I'm just gonna set these bricks down and let's get this front here. I'm just gonna set these bricks down and get it up off the ground so it's not, so that my exhaust pipe can breathe. So something like that. Kind of simple. Pipe this around and get it kind of out of the way. I do have a different muffler right here that I'm going to put on. So that's pretty much it. I'll install the wires on the back. It's very simple. You have positive and negative. Very, very easy. And then we'll get this thing fired up pretty soon. But before we do that, I want to talk about the specs of this unit a little bit. It weighs 18.96 pounds, so just under 19 pounds. So this unit is 18 inches long, 15 inches tall, and 12 inches wide. I believe that this thing puts out 5 kilowatts. The temperature that this thing will operate in is -40 centigrade all the way up to 50 centigrade. If you want to look at that in Fahrenheit, that's -104 Fahrenheit all the way up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So this thing can operate just about anywhere you go. We'll just put the red on the positive and the black on the negative. And then we'll run those wires over to a battery. Put the little flat washers on. There's your negative terminal, flat washer, and the positive terminal. Now, one thing that I would have liked to have seen is on the positive terminal, on the positive line rather, it would have been nice to see a fuse on there. There's a lot of diesel heaters out on the market that do it the same exact way. They don't put anything like that. So I have a deep cycle lithium iron phosphate battery here. So we're just going to take these off. The negative terminal, positive terminal, and then making sure that our wires are routed away from the exhaust pipe. We will put the negative here. They're already stripped. You just gotta pull the insulation off. Negative wire. Very easy. Hopefully you guys are seeing that. And then we'll strip the positive and do the same thing with the positive wire. So we're almost ready to run. There we go. So now we have our battery connected and the unit is already come to life. You can see the screen has lit up. Let's get some fuel in it. Okay, this gas can says kerosene on it, but it's actually got diesel fuel in it. And there's not a lot of fuel left in this gas can, but we're not going to need much to test this unit. Put the lid on. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this button on. We've turned the power button on. You can see that there's an indicator of the fan running. You can see it says on. It's starting the time elapsed. You got these two little indicators showing cold air coming in and warm air coming out. Although it's not producing any heat yet, you can see this icon, which I believe is the fuel pump, and then I believe this is probably the glow plug. So right now we're just getting the fan, and we'll just keep watching and see what happens. I'm getting a tiny amount of exhaust out of the pipe here, not a lot. And I do have the garage door behind me open, which will allow for plenty of ventilation in this room. If you want to increase the temperature, you can go up or decrease by going down, and you can look right there and those gears will increase and decrease based on your heat. There we can hear the fuel pump. Not that loud. Hear it clicking. And we also notice this indicator comes on right here, fuel pump. Very cool. I like working with diesel heaters. They're awesome. They're a very dry, clean heat. And I like the size of this unit. It's not a big unit, not heavy. It seems like they're making them smaller and they work good. Now I just heard out of the exhaust, let me show you right quick. Getting a little bit of exhaust out of there. Probably first startup. Let's come back to the screen. You can hear the fuel pump increasing. Now the exhaust is gone and I'm actually getting some exhaust heat out of the exhaust pipe. And on this front vent, it's starting to warm up. We still see the fuel pump icon. We have the battery icon, signal strength icon, elapsed time, fan. This is a quiet unit. Not loud at all. It's pretty impressive. Notice the gears here. It's on the second one. As this thing starts to warm up, you'll probably notice these gears are probably going to go higher up right here. But yes, I'm definitely feeling some heat coming now. This thing fired up pretty quick. Look at the indicator. We got yellow now. So we got 3 indicators there. Pump, fan, in, out, glow plug went off, elapsed time. Yeah, this thing's working pretty good, pretty interesting. So you got your main power button, you got up and down, and then you have OK, which is like enter, and then you have this gear which will enter your settings. We have another gear that just came on, so we got 4 now. The heat that comes out of these is just beautiful. If you've never felt a diesel heater, look at that. We got number 5 on there, red one. This thing's put out some very nice heat. And we have the last indicator on. So that is the highest setting. I can't hear the pump at all. That is crazy. I can still see the icon for it, but I don't hear it. But there we are, we're on the highest setting. And then if we want to reduce the temperature, it's very simple. We'll just scroll down here, go down to the lowest hertz. And these things take time to adjust, all the way down to 1.7. So now I'm telling it to go to the lowest setting. We're going to start seeing these gears reduce down, probably down to this just 1 here. So you can hear the fan speed slowed down. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. This thing's putting out a lot of heat for a small unit. In my opinion, if you're an off-gridder, these are the way to go. They don't require a lot of power to run. And something like the battery that I'm using right now, it's just a 100 amp lithium iron phosphate battery. And they work just fine. My shop is a 24 by 34 foot shop. And as you know, it's those cinder blocks, and I use a diesel heater out here, and it keeps this shop nice and toasty. I'm impressed with how quiet this unit is. They also claim that this unit is really fuel efficient, and it's not a noisy unit. I have some diesel heaters that are just noisy. You can operate it by using the LCD screen or by using this remote. So 2 ways of operating it. And if you're going to use this remote, it'll work within 10 meters of the unit. So you can take that, put it in your pocket, or even have it in a different room and turn this on and off as needed. And you can also increase or decrease the temperature. So it's really nice. And I love that this unit is an all-in-one unit. It didn't require anything to install other than putting fuel in it and connecting it to a battery, and of course running the exhaust pipe. That's all I had to do, which is nothing. You can put these safely in your cars as long as you get that exhaust out. Your RVs, your boats, yachts, vans, all your van lifers, garage, like what I use mine for, off-grid situations, camping. You can set a unit like this outside of your tent and run your pipe, you know, your dryer vent is what I use, and pipe that heat into your tent. So here we're looking at a different diesel heater, and I just use dryer vent, and I take the heat and that dryer vent. What I like is the heat down on the floor. It just drops the heat down on the floor, and I can put my feet in front of it, and it works really good. Now you can also buy these, and these are really useful if you want to install them on a building. I have this just set up just for a demonstration, but this lets you get your exhaust through a wall. You can pick these up on Amazon for like $25, and they're nice. That's what it looks like on the back side. And I just have this just for a display, but your exhaust comes from your heater, it runs through your wall. I have just a piece of masonite here that I'm using, and this thing never gets hot. And I run this heater on the max settings, and this has been on there for months, and it's never like burned or made burn marks or anything. When you get these, they give you 2 little rubber gaskets that sandwiches between this piece of metal and the piece of metal on the other side, and they work really good for exiting exhaust out of a building. So if you're in a tiny house or something like that, this is what I would highly recommend. And another thing that's really cool about this is you can make it where it exits the building just like this if you want. I just happen to have another exhaust pipe stuck on there because I like to run the exhaust further away from the heater. This diameter here will fit a standard pipe. I'll put a link in the description box down below where you can find this. They're not that expensive and very effective. So this unit is working very well, and it's pretty dang quiet. Now if you want to push the OK button, you'll see that we'll go from the frequency to the battery voltage. Push it again, we'll see if there's any error codes. Push it again, there's the lapse time. That's all the OK button does. If you want to turn the unit off, you just push the power button. Now you can see the words off, and it will start its shutdown cycle, which takes time. Takes about 5 minutes on most heaters, and it just goes through a process where the fan will run and it'll cool everything down, and once it gets cool enough and everything like that, then your numbers and everything will change. But you don't want to disconnect these units from the power supply during this stage until it's complete, because if you do, you could actually damage the circuit on this heater itself, and you'd have to replace that because it'll burn that thing up. So you got to just let it go through its cycle, its shutdown process, and it will let you know on the screen when it's finished. You'll know. And if you notice, as we're going through the cool down process, that last sixth one, that gear, and the fifth one just dropped off. Now if you hold the gear button and the up button, you can switch between temperature in centigrade or hertz. So depending on what you like, it's just by hitting those two buttons. I like it on hertz myself. So even though we show 3 bars of heat, we can see that the fan icon has stopped, and we don't have a glow plug lit up anymore, and everything is shut down. Now at this point you could disconnect the power if you needed to. And then of course on the side of the unit you can see the fuel level. That's pretty cool. You can see exactly how much fuel you have. Well folks, my final thoughts on this WIPPRO diesel heater. I like it. I think it's fantastic. I like the build quality. It works. It's very easy to understand. It put out a fantastic dry heat that was hot. And this unit is a lot quieter than other diesel heaters that I've reviewed on this channel. So folks, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this video. If you're interested in one of these units, I'll make sure to put a link in the description box down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.